Okay. Let me see. Let me go here. We need to do is great. Okay. I can be heard. Now I just have to share this link because I fucked it up. So give me a minute. Get yourself some tea. Make yourself feel comfortable. I'm gonna once again use Olga to clean the camera, okay? Just to make sure all is good. Go. And okay. So if you have questions, you should put them in the comments box. That's what I would advise you to do. Um, but first, share this. Okay. Okay. Reading by donation. Okay. Boom. 4:30 p.m. on PST. Hi. Put your questions in the comments if you have them. And onward. I am just being a total noob here on lay old YouTube. So let me be my old millennial ass for a moment and then we'll do the readings. I know nothing. I am Jon Snow. Okay. Let me delete this one. Both. Okay. Hi, hi, hi. Okay. Sweet. You can hear me though, right? Please let me know if you can hear me in the comments. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's see. Oh, let me also go to my channel, see what this looks like on the big screen right quick. Okay, I like that view better than this one. Last thing I will do, and then we will get into the cards, is here we go. Doot. boom. Put it here. We'll send it. Readings by donation. I'll pin that. Well, thank you so much. I love it too. All right. So, if you have any questions, you should drop them in the comments. I'm going to do, of course, a little full moon general reading, and then I'll answer any personal questions you may have. So, let's see here. All right, who wants to come in? Yes. So, one of our decks will be the Mesoamerican Oracle Cards deck by curandera Erica Buenoflor. And we will also, ooh, that's all we're doing. That was a directive. Okay. There will be no other decks for the general read. Ooh. All right. Full moon reading. What can people know this full moon in Aries that can lead them forward so that they can be in their authentic power, where the definition of power is the ability to be your authentic self, right? So if power is the ability, hi, let me know if you can hear me and everything, Tamil, because I don't know. I'm like such an amateur on the YouTube-ness. And my phone camera has like a better lens, which is why I wanted to do it through that. But it's also now vertical and not horizontal because it's amateur hour over here. So, or as I say, YouTube noob. I'm doing a little general read, and then for the full moon, coming from my brand new Mesoamerican Oracle Cards deck. And I don't know if we'll have more. Okay. So, full moon, we do the bright side, the shade side. The bright side is simply what is illuminated. The shade side is what is in the unseen, unknown, okay? So on the bright side, what is coming to light, what should be obvious. We have not this card tracking me down. Claim your power. You see it? Do you see? Did I not say the true definition of power being the ability to be your authentic self? Claim your power is like the first card I got at the bottom of the deck. I shuffle every deck that I get a certain number of times to clear it between readings. And when I first get a deck, I just shuffle it like for infinity times until a card pops out. And then after that, I will decide a number and I'll clear it. So Claim Your Power was the first card I got once I cleared the deck the very first time to myself. I'm going to read the book's definition of it because it's about specific energy in the Maya. But in the Maya pantheon, however, obviously, I already said that the definition of power is the ability to be your authentic self. So there's that. Yes? Okay, claim your power. Oh, I'm also realizing that my link is bad for my Patreon people. Tamil, would you be able to put a comment in the Patreon with a new link in case someone's trying to jump on here from there? Because I remember it, I just only updated Instagram. So, this card, Claim Your Power, the bright side, says, claim and step into your Chigona, badass power. Speak your truth directly and clearly. If people can't handle this, then you need to upgrade your circles. Release being afraid of honoring yourself, respecting boundaries. If people leave because you honored your boundaries, they may need space for better circumstances and people to come into they may need space, they made space. And also they may need the space themselves for more powerful people and circumstances to come into your life. It says, know your worth personally and professionally. Do not allow anyone to discount what you bring to the table. Discern who people truly are and interact with them accordingly. Be humble, yet stop playing small on any level. It says, X, or I don't know how it's pronounced because I don't speak Maya myself, but it says X has associations with the jaguar, night sun, and the underworld. There are numerous Maya jaguar deities that are identified with the night sun. It was believed that every night an aspect of the sun would shapeshift into a jaguar and would roam the underworld as one of the lords of the night. In Maya codical auguries, feminized anthropomorphic lunar-related deities appeared with jaguar claws, fangs, and a jaguar eye to signal some kind of transition. The north, the space of ancestral medicine and wisdom, presides over Ix and lets us know that our ancestors are asking us to step into our power. Ix is the 14th day sign of the Tzolk'in, the Maya calendar. So not only is it about clearing space so that you're taking place and interacting with people, places, and things and behaviors that are most aligned with the frequency you are attempting to embody, right? So knowing that if you need grace, you need to surround yourself with the people, places, things, behaviors that are graceful, right? That embody grace. Or if you need love, you need to be around the things that embody love. Or if you need community, you need to be around the people, places, things, and behaviors that embody community, right? So that's a part of claiming your power, that you can be who you are, what you are, when you are, how you are, where you are, okay? The current events and why you are. I always miss one. And also just knowing that, like, if you already are what you are, meaning like existentially, it is what it is, meaning you do exist and you do feel the way that you feel and you are the way that you are and you do prefer what you prefer, then you're like ground zero of affirmation or negation. Like, if you won't let that be what it is, how is anyone else to know? Like, it's a sort of uh believing is seeing, it's not seeing is believing. And when I say see, I mean like that inner consciousness, like the seeing that you do from your gut. Thank you for doing that, Tamil. The seeing that you do from your gut, right? Like, not just what you expect things to appear as. Actually, this was the full moon message. I was like, you don't look on the wrong side of yourself for appreciation and love, right? Like, the side of yourself that you need to be looking at for that is the inside, okay? And of course, I'm not saying you can love yourself to resources, okay? I can't say that you can love yourself, meeting, and I mean like the necessary resources. I mean like air to breathe, food, water to drink, shelter, okay? The things that are like the bare necessities of sustaining life, especially in places where we have like weather and shit like that, right? So, that being said, necessary needs aside, which seems impractical because we're in physical bodies, but is also necessary regardless of whether you're in a physical body, is that you need to still be validating who you actually are to yourself to want to have a life, right? To want to sustain yourself on the air and on the food, on the water, and on the socialization and on the shelter and the people, on the place, on the being on the earth, okay? That means you actually have to want to be who you are, okay? And being who you are is an inside job. Never said that before, but that goes hard. Oh, rhyming and stuff. Okay, we're fully in the flow of the moon. Okay, so the bright side is claim your power. Okay, the ability to be your authentic self, the ability to validate yourself, the inside job of being who you are to yourself. That is necessary for you in order for you to have the experience that you are most aligned with having on the earth, regardless of the circumstances that may be caused by humanity, time, space, species, okay? Like, on an existential level, okay? Because power is existential, right? Existence just is what it is. It's not apologizing for shit, it's not explaining shit, it's just being shit. So, to be like that, believing is seeing, right? Because if you can't see past all the illusions that humans have created in order to distract you from the perspective that is most aligned with your actual reality, meaning your existential reality, meaning the person that you are between the temples, because that's the only person you're responsible for, because that's the only person that you are. And I'm not saying you don't foster others, okay? I'm just saying that on an existential level, the other is not you, and therefore the other is responsible for the other, and you are responsible for you. So, between the temples, okay, that reality, that is first. Because without that, you don't need to breathe air or drink water or eat food or have shelter. If you don't have a consciousness awareness, you don't have a life. Okay? So it's like first you gotta start there. That's why it's an inside job. Yes, that message is on that. Now what's on the shade side? Because claim your power is like a lot, you know. And I'm only learning this I'm only learning this in real time right now, and why I'm laughing is because really, you really got to claim your power from yourself. Like, you have to tell your negative ego, look, you're gonna die. It's true. So am I, in less time than you, because I am not only the consciousness awareness of now, but the physical body that will exist and exist and exist until the physical body doesn't exist. But for now, ego, you're gonna have to die. Like, you're gonna have to sunset on the shit so that the next version of myself can do what is needful. I'll give you a tangible example, right? For the longest, I was like, I don't want to write a book proposal because I don't want to write a book for my book. Like, why does my book need a book? Like, can I have some distance from my book? Like, could you read the book and then tell me what it's about? But what's amazing is there's a book I already have, and there's a book I haven't had yet. And writing a book proposal for the book that I plan to write was actually like making a book outline, super helpful, and using AI that I actually like. I don't typically use ChatGPT because it uses a lot of resources, and it's also not as smart as, like, for instance, Perplexity AI, which is the search engine that I use now instead of Google, because it provides annotated resources and allows you to save collections of questions, and is like very, very good. I highly recommend. Okay. But using the little AI that I used, I was able to outline my book proposal with the titles I wanted. ChatGPT got all the history wrong, but it was my job to do the paragraph filling. I just needed the outline. So it shaved off time that I hadn't, that I wouldn't have taken for probably another 2 months, right? Not only that, also, it allowed me to outline a book that I do want to write that I can't just write on my own because I need 4 translators in order to make a canonical, groundbreaking tarot work, okay? But also, the funny thing is, I had to die to the ego self that wasn't willing to write a book for my book. And when I let that bitch die, which, hasta la vista, baby, but when I let that bitch die, guess what happened? Like the day after I wrote the proposal, I got a positive reception from a publisher that I sent it to. I also got a rejection, but usually they don't even email you to reject you, so that was kind. Then I was like, okay, well, if I can get a positive response from a publisher like that, maybe I should be sending more of my shit to agents. I sent to like 2, but I was like not on the hunt for that because it was enough to just get it to the publisher. They take unagented, like they take an agented work, right? So I was going direct. Then one night I couldn't sleep till 4 a.m., which happens all the time around the new moon and the full moon. And I just applied to a bunch of agents. I woke up at 6 a.m., like in the bed today. And I was like, why am I up? And I was like, oh, yeah, it's a full moon. And chow ho indeed. And why did I wake up to a warm response from an agent saying, oh, I can't suggest any other publishers than the ones you've listed to apply to, but if you need an agent to negotiate your contract with the publisher, you let me know. I'll be happy to do that. So, once you die to the ego that's holding you back, you can be the version of yourself that goes forward. But I mean, you have to do the work. Here, I thought I had flipped the second card, and I haven't. So, what's on the shade? What's on the shade side? Wait, do I need to change the card? The card is changing, which is weird. Or maybe it's being added to? Okay. All right, this is going from the shade side and the bright side to the typical COA: concern, opportunity, obstacle, advantage, obstacle, opportunity, and advantage aversion. Claim your power is now the concern card. What I'm about to turn over is going to be the opportunity obstacle card, and what I'm shuffling seems to be the advantage aversion card. Okay, so now we're in the proper order. Okay, so our opportunity obstacle card is, it says beneficial changes, right? I gotta like, upcoming beneficial changes. Oops, sorry to the light there. There we go. Upcoming beneficial changes. Well, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory, I feel like. But the beneficial changes is that A, you become more of yourself, right? So no matter how long you live, you're living a more authentic life. The authenticity is not about the outside. It's not about how you're received on the outside. That is a side effect, right? The point is, you love what you love, you do what you love, you do it with who you love, you do it where you love to the best of your ability at all times, right? Which means that you're always working towards that. It's not something that you're going to do later, it's something you're doing now to whatever degree that you can do it. And then because you laid that groundwork, you will be more capable of doing it in the future, right? You always know, I always say, if my goal is to be a published author, but I don't share my writing, and I don't write, and I don't self-publish, and I don't send my shit to publishers, and I don't do the book proposal when it's asked of me, then I don't have the live past of the version of myself who's published. Now, because I like fell on the sword of my dead ego, I have the past of a version of myself who was published, because a bitch has queried to the gods. Okay. Upcoming beneficial changes. But let's see what the book has to say about it, because obviously, like I said, it's Maya medicine. CAUAC 30. It says, you are entering a possibly fruitful, it's still optional, it's still up to you, okay, and transformative period in your life. If you are open to changes and capable of adapting to them, this period will ultimately be fortunate for you in many ways. If, however, you resist change and remain stagnant, then this cycle will likely be turbulent, as you will be forced to change, and the changes will then be difficult. As we know, the Tao Te Ching says, confront the difficult while it is still easy, okay? And then it says, trust your intuition and instincts and improvise as needed, okay? Take yourself into new terrain and explore it. Once you are able to flow in this new terrain, you will soar and ultimately find excitement and vigor for life, okay? Vigor is the self-driving engine. Vigor is the stuff that says, another day, whatever shall I do with it, okay? Vigor wakes you up at 6 in the morning and has you see the fruits of your labor, okay? But it says ancient Mesoamerica. Kauk, quack, I don't know how you say the word. It says associations are storm, thunder, rain, zoomorphic mountain beings, and celestial dragons. Elements of the day sign often appear on the bodies of celestial dragons, beings that scent the rain and storms. In Maya codices, crossed bands are used as quack markings, likely portraying the head of a zoomorphic mountain being, a witz, that's WITZ, an entrance into a floral paradisal realm. Okay. The West, the space of releasing death and transformation, presides over quack and signals the beginning of a transformative period. Quack is the 19th day of the Tzolk'in. Well, I mean, what comes to mind is it's always darkest before the dawn. What comes to mind is when the storm breaks, okay? What comes to mind when you get out of your own way, okay? When you let yourself be yourself by being honest. I say this to so many clients, and it's really interesting because people are very resistant to it. I'm going to share it with you anyway, which is that, like, you don't state what it is for you to other people, right? Whether it's good or ill, right? You don't say, hey, I really appreciate when people do this. Or you don't say, hey, I really messed that up. Or you don't say, hey, this is my truth. Okay? You don't say those things so that people respond to you differently. You say those things so that you respond to yourself differently, right? You say those things so that you believe you. People really underestimate the value of believing yourself, not in some like sociopathic way. Okay, I don't mean against everybody else, me against the world. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that you deal with the reality that is you, and you know that you can not only, I mean, the word I want to say is like deal with yourself, which sounds like hella basic, but a lot of people just don't feel like they can handle themselves, right? And so they're like, I wish I could like describe this in a physical way. It's like as if you this is you, right? Where the my hands are. This is you, but inside of you, you're doing like okay, but like you're not like taking up the space that is you, okay, and and it's you deciding that. It's not anybody outside. It's you deciding it's too difficult or it's not worth the risk or you know no one will believe you or but what you say but what that it means when you do that is that you don't believe yourself and you don't believe you're worth the risk and you don't believe that you're safe to do so. Whether you believe that or not, I mean sorry, whether anyone else believes that or not is sort of irrelevant because on an existential level, it is what it is for you. That's between you and existence, okay? That has very little to do with anybody else. What you decide you're perceiving, that's yours, okay? So if you don't if you don't own the authorship of that, it's not your story. If it's not your story, you don't know where it's going. But if you are the author of a story, you know where it's going by the time the story is done, which is when you're supposed to know. And it's okay to go on the journey. And in fact, it's the whole fucking point. It's the whole point of the experience of the self is to have the experience of the self. So the more resistant you are to what that is for you, and I know, whatever, I get that in a nihilist world, there's a lot of rejection of things that people don't consider good, okay? And a lot of people and their qualities fall into what is not considered good category, okay? Which means that if you believe that, that you will start acting like those aspects of yourself are too real or too much or like too like too deadly for you to survive, but you've already survived them. But you already are them. So like if you are not literally like just dying like without any effort as a result of that, it's not going to kill you. It hasn't killed you. You know what I'm saying? So like taking that ownership, taking the reins of the story that you tell about yourself is being the authority of your existence. Being the authority of your existence is not making other people believe your story, like your story be a part of your story. It's telling the most authentic story that you can tell that is relevant to your actual experience in your life as a person. So, in Ifa, Isheshe, the indigenous tradition of the Yoruba people that of the place we now call Nigeria, right? Your shadow is like your record keeper, right? It's not bad. It's the record keeper. It'd be with you all the motherfucking time. And when you die and you go to give the report in the afterlife and you're telling the story of your life, it's your shadow that's like, that motherfucker is lying. I was there. They are lying. They aren't telling the whole story. And by the way, that's whether you're trying to sneak around a truth, that's good or bad, right? Like someone might say, oh, I really failed at connecting to people. And your shadow will say, that's a lie. You connected to this person and that person and this person and that person, and because of that connection those people did these things and these things and these things. So it's the whole spectrum of perception, which is not just negative, obviously, even though human human beings, even though human beings, um, you know, have fixated in our negative imagination. That is not all that we are made of, obviously, because negativity is like an electron. Okay, it separates. We flirt with this idea, but we are very connected. Okay, last but not least, the advantage of aversion. Okay, like what about our character is helping us or hurting us in this situation? And our card is Kaban. Work your magic. So, I mean, are these not giving similar energy? Is it not both in? Is it not? Are these not two sides of the same coin? Is your magic not being your authentic self? And if you believe that, then you're looking on the wrong side of yourself for approval and for validation. It has to be within you. You know, I always use this example. It's really tragic that Luc Besson is such a creeper because, as good as the fifth element is, now that I know the full backstory of what all was happening on that set, I'm like, ew. That being said, I usually use the example from the fifth element where the opera diva are like, the stones, they're in me. Okay. I like to use that example as like where your passion lies, where the cool part of you lies, where the interesting part of you lies is in you, okay? But it's gut led, which means that, you may be head led. I've never used this language, but I'm liking it. You may be head led somewhere completely, astray from where your gut would lead you. And I think that, I spent a lot of time personally doing other things than writing the books. And I'm finally being gut led and I'm just committing to writing the books. Okay. Not only am I writing the books, I'm like reading 4 books right now. Okay. I am reading 4 books right now. Okay. Reading the homie Layla's The Land in Our Bones. Okay. I'm doing an interview with Layla, existence willing, on the 30th. Layla is currently in Lebanon, and obviously Lebanon is under siege on the inside and on the outside. So I don't know if we're actually going to get to do that talk. I am rereading Why Not Kill Them All, okay, which is an incredible book because it talks about, up until this book was published, which I think was like 2005 or 2000, no, it must have been like 2002, 2005, all the genocides up to that point. I am reading The Dawn of Everything, A New History of Humanity, okay, by the David Graeber, and David Wengrow. And this is a critique and an extrapolation on Why Not Kill Them All, because it talks about how much of the Enlightenment period was borrowed from indigenous cultures of the Americas, like all of the Americas, right? Mesoamerica, the Caribbean, North America, okay? So I'm reading that, okay? And then I'm reading the book I'm in, A Confluence of Witches, okay? Because I'm in here with all these other people, including Adrienne Marie Brown and my homies like Jessie Susanna and Edgar, Fabian Frias, and all these cool colleagues and people that I know, Rachel Hell, all these people. I'm reading 4 books right now, okay? So I'm reading these things. All this is to say because these things are what I'm interested in. Some of that happens to be current stuff that seems really important to current events, and some of that stuff is internal shit that's just interesting to me that maybe not be relevant to anybody else. And both allow me to be who I authentically am, which allows me to be within my power, called I want to exist, called I'm okay with the fact that I am where I am, who I am, when I am, where I am, what I am, why I am, how I am. Right? But let's see what the book says about working magic. Kaban, which would come before the CAU, just alphabetically speaking. You know what I'm saying? It says, stop leaving things to chance and work your magic. Let the earth and moon teach you how magnificent life can be. Work with the elements of the earth in a fire or water limpia, and work with the magic of the moon. Look at us. Okay? The fire limpia can encompass placing your favorite resin on a charcoal tablet, and the water limpia can include taking a baño, a bath. Yeah? It says, proclaim your intention during the limpias. And it says, for something new, work with the new moon. To expand or have something grow, work with the waxing moon. To come full circle with an intention, work with the full moon. Okay. Okay, Sanyu. Okay, Sanyu, who wrote the book proposal? Because that wasn't me. To be clear, that was not who. I'm not the one who wrote the book proposal. I am the one receiving the accolades for the Sanyu who wrote the book proposal. That bitch is like back there. She isn't me. I'm not her. Okay? But she laid the groundwork. You see what I'm saying? Boom. Okay. So also says to decrease something, work with the waning moon. Obviously, the waning moon means like when the moon is going. Okay, well maybe not obviously. What the waning moon is when it's getting thinner. Okay. And the waxing moon is when it's getting thicker. Okay. So now that the moon is full, it's waning. It's getting thinner again, right? And it says, do all the normal mundane things you do to ensure the success of something, and for every big move, especially new ones, work your magic. It says ancient Mesoamerica. Kaban associations are earth, fertility, and the moon. In classic Maya codices, which were from 250 to 909 CE, which God, like some people use before Christ and after death, or ad domi, like the Latin. So I'm pretty sure that CE is the BC, and that there's another one that's the other. But it says the Maya codices of the time and artwork, a younger lunar earth deity is often depicted with a Caban de sign curl in her hair and watches over the fertility of new crops. The Caban curl corresponds, you see these at the bottom, right? That's the Caban curl, I presume. Okay. Or maybe it's even this actually. You know what I'm saying. Oh, I'm above it. I'm above it now. I'm looking at a delayed camera. Forgive me. It says the Caban curl corresponds to the phonetic value U or U in the Yucatec Mayan term, which is the Yucatec Mayan term for moon. Caban is an auspicious day for medicine and successful commerce. The East, the space of new beginnings, presides over Caban and reminds us to work our magic. Caban is the 17th day sign of the soul kid. So, this is the full moon in Aries reading for you. I hope it serves you well. I hope that you are willing to claim your power, aka the ability to be your authentic self. I hope you see the upcoming beneficial changes that result from you being more authentic and therefore allowing those around you to make more authentic choices about whether they are still aligned with who you are to yourself now. I applaud you for passing the baton of your identity and not being a baton hog of identity, because there are future versions of you that are waiting for the baton. I was going to say the ball, but I didn't want to change the metaphor. They're waiting for the ball and the baton. Okay? Carry them both. And then, what about your character can help you or hurt you? Working your own magic, okay? Being in your own lane, trusting that existence wouldn't set you up to fail, okay? And if you listen to my readings, that I separate existence from humanity. Not that they're not humanity is a product of existence, okay? But existence is not just a product of humanity, right? So there's the existential reality supersedes, overarcs, outweighs the spatial reality. Okay. Um, so don't get caught up too much in the human reality to forget what you're doing existentially speaking. Okay, because you have your own agreements with people, places, and things, and versions of yourself, behaviors. Right, behaviors are versions of yourself. Um, you have agreements to have experiences where you are and when you are in the space that you take up, and it's very important to give yourself the opportunity to do so while you exist as a physical being, because you will not be able to do it once Earth reclaims what it gave you, which is the body. Yes, everything that has ever happened on Earth is still on Earth. You know, we are on top of history. We stand on it every day. We are it every day. We're made out of it. You know, I always say that. So that's that on that. Now, if you're in the audience and you want me to pull a card for you and you have a question, you can ask the question. If you just want a lay of the land, which means the cards will tell you what they want to tell you, then you just put LOL in the comments, okay? And be a good Samaritan. Send your donation, you know, prior to asking me the question, as I'm answering the question, but do send it. And thank you. I already got one. Thank you for whoever is also psychic in the room. Just kidding. You know who you are. Um, so yes, let's see what there is to see. I have one question that was prior to me coming here that was from the Patreon community. So I am going to pull a card for that individual. But anybody else on YouTube, which is the only thing I'm on right now, because I was like, I'm not doing Instagram today. I'm just not doing it. So let me pull a card for the individual on Patreon who asked me to do so. Oh, you'd be like, what? And the card is like, okay. So for that individual, and yay, and hey, if this card speaks to you people that are not the individual who I pulled this card for, let it speak to you, okay? Each one to each one. Everyone's existence can be an example to anyone else. Oh, the Tower. One in this deck, the Tower is so beautiful, okay? It's calcite. Look at that. Iceland spar, okay? Like, look at that. Those big blocks, that's Iceland spar. And, you know, what I will say about that being um, the the stone of this particular energy in the major arcana, right? This moment of I mean, it's not really reconciliation. It's this moment of recognition, right? This cracking open, okay? Um, but why I really like that they have Iceland spar as the stone that is depicted here is because it's what Vikings used to it refracts light. Okay, Iceland spar reflects light. So even if it's a cloudy day, if you have a piece of Iceland spar, it will let you know where the sun is above you by the direction in which the sunlight refracts through the Iceland spar, right? So Vikings use this to navigate the seas during storms and stuff, right? Because they would know whether they were going east or west based on how the light was refracting. And that would give them a sense of direction in knowing where they were going in the midst of ocean upon ocean and sea upon sea, right? So why I like that for the Tower is because it absolutely focuses energy. It requires you to come down to the basic aspect of the reality, which is the foundation, right? And if the foundation isn't strong, then it's borrowed time anyway. So you should just be grateful you got any time at all in that way, right? Like it was borrowed. Like you did not check the foundation. So the fact that you got 3 days out of it, 3 months, 3 years, 30 years, just be glad. Like, because it wasn't because you necessarily intended for it to be a long time. If we know if you intend for something to be a long time, that you make sure it has a healthy foundation, right? Healthy roots, healthy seeds. Um, you make sure it has seeds at all in this world. And with the tower too, it's like you got to focus the energy. You trying to like manage this whole operation and the first floor be a mess. Like, so it's like you need to disseminate, be like, oh, I need other managers on other floors. I need to get back to my ground floor. Who can I outsource the rest of this work to? Is it outsourceable? And even if it's not, can it be salvaged? You know, because there's this aspect in the tower that I think like is very undecided attraction. It's like, I'll do everything in my power, you know, to make this work. And, you know, good intentions. But intention is not impact. Okay? And if your impact isn't aligned with your intention, then you need to go back to the drawing board because the hypothesis is not hypothesizing. Okay? It's not this thesising. The hypothesis is not thesising. Um, and you want your research to be not only good, you want it to be recreatable, right? Like if your formula works, if you have good theory, then someone else can use it to create the same results. Now, same means, you know, in the vein of not carbon copy, okay? Um, but that by the way is true of positive and negative inheritances because if you use a negative inheritance from someone to neutralize it or um to even to create positive dividends, then you are improving on that formula. Okay. Especially if you started with something that wasn't high quality and you made it something of integrity. That's I was like, what is that noise? That's like that is the evidence. That is the whole thing. Like the whole thing you want from a thesis is like evidence. Okay. So you want the results to keep lining up. And if you're not focused enough, there's too many moving parts for you to really trust that where something is coming from. When something is well traced, well tracked, right? Well followed, like the directions are well followed, then you end up where you claim you're going. If that's not the case, then you got to recalibrate because obviously you're head led and not gut led, right? And then we haven't even gotten to the feet because those can also want to go in a different direction, right? And then there's the heart, yeah. But like, ideally, those four aspects: the head, the heart, the gut, the feet, they're moving in the same directions, you know. And if they're not, then you got to figure out which one is going where and which way you even want to be going. By the way, this reminds me, you can have a tower moment within a positive and neutral time in your life, right? Like change is is eternal. It's infinite. So that would mean that eventually when your life is super positive, you're going to have to choose between things you love the most. Oh, I love this thing, but I love this thing more. And this thing is what's calling me, and so I must go in this direction and not do that other thing I love for now if I do it again. But the point is, I'm choosing for my highest excitement. I'm choosing from my most authentic alignment. I'm choosing what is most true for the me of now. Okay, because if I don't validate the me of now, they're not going to pass the baton. And then you'd be wondering why you're still back there with them. They're like, you never let me do what I actually wanted to do. So, like, you got to pass the baton. I'm talking to myself. I had to let myself write the fucking book proposal. Um, and you know, it'd be very much like kitten puppy energy, right? Like you got to take yourself up by the scruff, okay, in a loving parenting way. and teach your young self, the version of yourself that you're becoming, the foundational work of solid foundation, right? Which is like being present for the person, being between your temples, being willing to be in the reality that is, which is so much a part of my work of reminding people, like, look, it's not to say that people are not doing ill. It's not to say that people are not doing well. It's to say that whether you are doing well or ill, you are a part of the family of humanity, right? And it's the people's fear of being cast out and being, whether that means going to hell and burning for eternity if they even believe in hell, or if that means being cast out of society and having to fend for oneself, or if that means being excommunicated in some way, right? Like, this is why people hide their reality and their truth and their secrets, because they don't want to be cut off from the group. So if it's not an option to be cut off from the group simply because you have done ill, and if anything, if it's no matter what you do, that the group maintains its connection to you in the ways that various aspects of the community can, okay? Because it's not everyone's job to do everything, okay? But like, as a foundational principle, if that was our reality as human beings, we'd be a lot less like murderous. You know what I'm saying? We'd be a lot less savage. We'd have a lot more regard for life. But until that happens, okay? Excuse me while I get a little chapstick. If I can find it. Yeah. Here we go. Okay. Boom. Now, any other questions? Or shall I let you all go? Or maybe the full moon reading was enough, which is also fine. I'm into that. Maybe the tower was the key card, and I told you everything that you need to know about what you need to know. Let me make sure I got no other questions on my other phone while I'm looking at all the technologies. Okay. Oh, okay. I do you. I will do you. Okay. Haven't used this deck in a little bit, but it's going to be the Dust to Onyx. What does T most need to know? Is it one of these? Okay. Your card, should you choose to accept it. Oh my gosh. Allergies, excuse me. The Three of Staffs. Which is a little hard to see. Sorry. Okay. The Three of Staffs. So, adventure time is what it makes me think about. But it also is like, new relationship, right? Like, new relationship with the outside, new relationship to others. Of course, with staffs, we know we're talking about groups of others, right? But also like a different way of relating to the world from a different position, relating to the world from a different position, therefore relating to others from a different position. Um, and that's embodying different aspects of yourself, right? Like, I really love the beginning of the Journey of the Wands, because it's someone on this balcony with comfort and privilege and like the ability, and not feeling rushed out of there, right? Like, they're not running from anything. They are at their leisure, okay? And then, but they're looking out there, you know, all the leisure's behind them, but they're looking out into the world and they want to have to know more about what is out there, right? So, like, then we get to the two, and we're in a position where now we are like, well, we start with the two. I don't start with the ace, sorry. So then we get to the three, and then so we're at this place where we gave ourselves permission to do the thing that's calling, um, and that's the beginning of the relationship, the journey of that different positionality in the world, right? Maybe not as much perspective or as much like separation, which perspective can sometimes be, right? It can be like separation from being in the thick of it. But the person goes basically from like the mountain to the shore. And so the relation to life is much more um, elemental in a way, I guess. Like, I mean, whatever. I'm thinking about LA. It's like slathered in concrete from the mountain to the beach, right? So, like, if you're on the mountain, you are seeing dirt. And if you're on the beach, you're seeing sand. But in between, it's a lot of humanity. It's a lot of concrete. It's a lot of things that are not as alive as the mountain or as the sand and the sea, right? So, it's like the work that one does to get from two to the three is shedding and shedding and shedding and shedding and prioritizing and prioritizing and like deciding from a new perspective what is actually most relevant now from that perspective as opposed to what was relevant from the perspective of comfort, right? So it can be interesting because you can have passed the baton to a version of yourself who doesn't have the same conditions, um, boundaries, priorities, requirements as the one who was on the balcony. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like that can be disconcerting because people can get used to who we are in a place of uh, consistency. You know, they can think that that is our normal, but I think with the fire sign, the normal is much more what is happening for this me in the now, right? Because we're dealing with fire, and like fire is relational, it can't exist on its own. It exists as a result of breaking down other materials and catalyzing other materials. So it works in relationship, it becomes in relationship, it changes in relationship. It's never just one thing, though, you know, that consistency for itself feels like feels constant. It's not constant for everybody else necessarily. So that's also being very like gut led, heart led, um, which is funny too, right? Because as far as the gut and the heart are concerned, like only the head and the feet can turn away, right? It's like you can. I mean, I guess what you're pretty flexible, so you can turn to the sides, but meaning like you can't turn this around unless you're turning the feet around too. Um, and yet this can swivel and the feet can swivel. So I do think that if we're gut and heart led, that we are being true. You know, we're being true to the direction that is actually most relevant for the self that we are in the present. So that is your reading. Three of staffs for you to know. Hello, Ocean. If anyone else has a question, please feel free to write it in the chat. If you don't have a question, then I'll just close up this reading and post it so that other people can get this full moon energy. If you ask a question, you can make a donation, whatever you can afford to donate. And if you don't have a question, then I will close up shop. So I'll give y'all a minute to type in the chat because I know my thing's a little delayed. Okay. else? Anybody else? No. Did you have a specific question, or do you want to see what the cards want to say? Your choice. I will see what it says in the comments, and I will do that. You can do a lay of the land. That's what seeing what they have to say is. And then you can also just ask a question if you have a specific thing you want to ask. Okay. Oh, thank you. I will wait till you tell me you're back. Love the love. Thank you all for the donations. Hello. All right, so actually, let me see what deck. And I've actually recently gotten a few kind of really new, interesting ones. How funny is this, your deck? Okay. While I wait for you to come back, Ocean, I will shuffle your deck. It's a deck that I was gifted. It's a Crow Tarot. And why that's funny to me is because every time I've come to Crow things in my life, they've really been gifted to me. Literally every kind of Crow paraphernalia I have has been a gift, which is awesome because they do give gifts. If they like you, they give gifts. And maybe if they love you, they give you the gift of themselves. So, oh, received. Thank you so much. Alrighty. So, what I would like to tell to you is. Okay, thank you. So, I pulled a card for you from the Crow Tarot, and it's a gift I received because I work at Mystic Journey Bookstore here in LA, and some decks that don't sell or don't do well, or for some reason we didn't order more of, or they went out of print, or whatever happens, just go to the readers in the store. And so I got this Crow Tarot, but I was saying all my Crow things, oh, my pleasure to post about it. All my Crow things have been gifted to me, which is appropriate because crows themselves gift you things if they like you. So, excuse me. Well, this card just won't go away right now. It is the Tower. Wait, let me see. You see all the crows diving down. There we go. The Tower. Oh, yes, no problem. I'm glad that you're back. This is your card. But it was also someone else's card today. So there's some energy falling down. What's funny is in this deck, that's Big Ben, right? The monarchy's time. The monarchy's time's coming to an end. But honestly, like, I think with this card, what I'm feeling about it is like there is some sort of hierarchy that is no longer has you in its thrall. Okay, like I don't know if this hierarchy is familial. I don't know if this hierarchy is some sort of way you've weighed yourself in relation to people with like a different education than you or a different amount of experience. Oh, you're a bird person? Love it. Okay. But also, what I get from it is like there's something like you've seen the truth, you've seen the writing on the walls, you've seen greater, right? But the greater can just be like, I've seen more of reality than this person knows or knows of me or even knows of themselves. And there's something good about that. right? Which is like there's the recognition. Um, and there is, for me in the tower, a lot of recognition, right? Like there's, the recognition that this won't last, meaning it's not self-sustaining, right? If something isn't self-sustaining, then we don't have to do much but let nature take its course, right? So if somebody is huffing and puffing, or somebody is making themselves hierarchically more important, if somebody is devaluing or disassociating from what is apparent, that that will, yeah, it is for you, yeah, that will itself like become evident. You don't have to like track that, right? There's more energy to be going towards what's now happening on the floor, right? Because these birds are flying down. They are headed to the bottom, okay? And as we know, crows can be on the tower. They can also be in the water. They can be on the ground. So there's an aspect here of like, okay, if I'm the herald, right? Like if I'm the person that has to say what it is, even if people won't hear me, when have I satisfied myself? I think there's some energy in that, right? Like, when are you satisfied with the effort that you have put in, regardless of whether it has been appreciated? When do you allow yourself to be released from the expectation you're putting on yourself to solve the issue? And is it really for you to solve, right? Like, is it not for other people to have to pick up pieces if they insisted on knocking things off the proverbial shelf, right? And then there's a quality here which is like, there is okay, crows are very familial, right? Like they're very loyal, they're very I don't know if the language would be tribal, but like they're cliquish, okay? So there's a quality to them that is sort of like gang for life, right? At the same time, individually, especially in terms of the way that they like pair up with for life, mate for life, that is the really unique aspect of the crow, right? Like what reflection attracts them to then procreate, keep life going, self-sustain, be involved, be in relationship. So I think that when we go from worrying about the group to worrying about the individual, it's sort of the ground floor versus the penthouse moment, where you can decide whether you're even in like the right building for where you actually want to be headed. Um, and there's a quality here that I think is actually really like, I don't know, it's positive. I find clarity positive for myself. Which doesn't mean that other people will take it positively, like, but for you to know your sense of direction, right? To find peace of mind, about what you will be doing with yourself, regardless of what has been happening or what other people expect. That's what I get from this card. So I don't know if that actually speaks to your situation, if there was a situation, because you said you just wanted to see what there's to see, right? So I was checking the comments. So let me know if that applied at all. If it didn't apply at all, then maybe there's an oracle card that wants to talk to you. But first, I'll see if Crow gave you the message. And I've actually never really looked in this book. I'd be interested to see if they have like Crow facts. So while you let me know if that was relevant at all, I'll see if there's any Crow facts in this book. Or maybe it's just crows. Well, it tells a little story, so I'll read the story. Why not? It says, each night the crows gather to roost in the top of an old bell tower that sits on a hill, away from the city lights. The tower has always provided a comfortable shelter that offered security for young and old. That is, of course, until it didn't. The tower comes with a warning. Do not become too comfortable or complacent. Do not think for a moment that it can all be whisked. Do not think for a moment that it all can't be whisked away in a flash. Mentally prepare yourself. Change is always afoot. Sometimes change happens and goes by virtually unnoticed, but not this time. This time it will be felt. It will shake the ground, right? Like change the physical makeup of the reality that you call your life. It says the energy caused by this change may spark something within that will move you towards a better place. And then it says how the pieces fall are up to you. Change is inevitable. And when the tower appears reversed, which I don't read things reversed, but it says it's a sign that you're doing everything in your power to prevent a necessary course of action. In doing so, you're delaying the experience you need to learn from to move forward. Yeah, I mean, it's like, but if you are getting in the way of somebody else's fall, right? Fall from grace, fall from like okay, I can call it delusion and I can call it self-reflection, right? But like when someone feels the reality of their situation, that's necessary for them. We don't want to keep people from feeling the reality of their situation if it is their situation, because that's the only place that they can recover themselves from. So, oh, okay, great. I'm glad that it's wildly specific. Okay, good. But also, trust the bird too, right? Crow it embodies its unusualness. It looks striking and it sounds striking and it acts oddly too. So, whether that is for others or not is not very relevant. The crow is not trying to be a peacock. The crow is trying to be a crow. And also, the beauty of that too with crow is like there's a uniformity across genders, right? With the crow. Like it's not like all like mama crows are white and all papa crows are black, right? Whereas we know with peacocks, when we're looking at a peahen or a peacock, right? So there's also something to be said about like you can be unique and it not be apparent to others, so long as you embody that, you're aligned. You know, that's what I get from that. So thank you for being here. This will go up and come with the old sign that I had. Feel bad for everybody who had the old link while I was trying to figure out once again that I do not know how to YouTube from my phone. So I think I'm gonna have to buy a fancy computer camera, and next time I want to have like a horizontal lens, right? I'm trying to like take a little bit more space in the frame. But thank you for everybody who has been here. I'm gonna post this. I hope it serves you well. And happy full moon in Aries. Next full moon, I'll see you on the other side of an election. So may you be in the worlds that you most prefer. May you work towards the reality that you prefer the most, which does not mean perfect. Okay, just means more aligned than the alternative. Because, as I like to say, 101 and 102 are close in time, but they're not the same fucking time. Okay, so progress is progress. That's all I gotta say, folks. Love to you and bye bye. And now I'll have to leave the frame because I'm recording on the other side of this phone. Have a good one.